All right, we should be live. Hello, everybody. We're just getting set up right now for the podcast. It'll start at 8:30. But please join in. Let us know who all's with us tonight. And we're just doing good sound checks and microphone checks and things like that. So bear with us for a few minutes. Thanks. So out there with the Mach-E today there, David, I saw your picture.
Oh yeah, that thing, the Mach-E 4. That was actually the same vehicle that we've been giving out to several the local guys. I think TFL had that car.
Is that Ford's top Mach-E, or is that middle one, or what is that?
The one we have is the basically the all-wheel drive version. So it's a little bit heavier, so the range is not nearly as long. It's about 170 miles as opposed to some of the others that top well over 200. Still a great vehicle to drive if you've ever driven Teslas and all the things that you look at and go, if they could only do this and they could only do that. Ford pretty much went and did those things. And it has no door handles and it creeps you out just a little bit.
Is it the key fob you have to open it with?
So you hit a button on the pillar, and there's just this little like tiny handle on the outside that you just kind of grab and pull it. But on the back door, the door handle is actually the door. So they noticed during engineering, from what I'm told, that people would hit the button and they would just instinctually go to grab the door and pull it towards them. And so they actually lined the inside of the door there as if it was a handle.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good idea because, I mean, it's a good way to, avoid all those smudge marks, when you go shut the door and stuff like that. So
exactly. And it has, when you hit the button, when it pops out, there's a kickstand or something that prevents you from pushing the door back in by about 3 or 4 inches. So you don't actually, smash your hand in there, because we've all smashed our hands in a door at one point in our lives. I'm sure my fingers are bent somehow or another.
That was one thing with the Teslas. I know they have sensors when you close the doors, but there's a whole a thing with the door handles where it wouldn't detect if your fingers are in the handles when they electronically go in. So, their videos, just carrots getting snapped in half when they just slide right in. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steve, that the one that I sent you earlier, that is the actual, the exact same vehicle that we sent to TFL a few weeks back. In the snow.
So we got Bob Anderson's trying to see our podcast, and he says he can't see it, so I'm going to try to help him. Oh, he just liked it. Looks like he found it. And we'll see if there's Hayden. All right. Hey, Hayden, how's it going?
Yay.
You didn't. You were running technical support for group members, huh?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes. With Bob Anderson.
What's up, Bob?
Terry's out tonight, Hayden.
Yeah, no, I saw.
He's got computer troubles.
Yep. And he's going to use that to buy a new card. He was already telling me that he wanted to get one of the new nice cards and maybe a whole new PC.
He's got an excuse now.
Yeah.
That's the time to do it.
Just opened his PC and just took a glass of water and just poured it on his graphics card, and he's like, "Oops. Guess I need a new one of those." Steve, I can't make the chat tonight.
I tried to help him out. I took him an RTX 3070, and which I hadn't installed yet, and still didn't work. So he's got more troubles.
Oh,
New computer time.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that you went and.
Well, yeah, we
that's
met
what happens.
I met him at King Supers on Hamden I-25 right there. It's about halfway between both of us.
Well, I think the water it fell through the GPU and got into his power supply. That's my theory.
What?
I said that he probably poured water on his GPU to fry it, and then actually got into the.
Don't say that.
Why?
Don't say that.
You don't know it didn't happen.
Well, I see John just liked the chat. We miss you today, John. Come and join us.
Where is John?
He's liking the chat, but he's not here.
Has family in town?
Yeah, he's got some family.
Family.
Who needs them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bob, you can find the podcast tonight also live on our YouTube channel, which unfortunately is not a cool custom URL yet, even though we've got 100 subscribers. Come on, YouTube, fix that, please. Give me 1 second, and I will send you a link. Let's see. Here we are. Copy. Okay, Bob, I just shared a YouTube link there. So anybody can watch that right now as well.
How about Twitch? Do we have one of those?
Not yet, but yes, we will do that. Just not yet.
Yeah, once you have it go just routing through a central thing like StreamYard.
Yes, it is. It'll be easy. You just got to get it set up.
Yep.
Hey, Tim, what's going on? Who else do we have tonight? We got a few viewers. All right. Does everybody have the document to look at? Ready to go?
Yep.
What's that second announcement? It's just a hyperlink.
That's my bad. Give me 1 second. It's the track event for women down at Pikes Peak.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Galentine's track day or something.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know that I hate. No. I got no problem with what they're doing. Did you just know that I hate the word Galentine's? And you assigned it to me?
No, I thought you just hated women or something, or what?
No, Steve. We're live on a Facebook page, 20,000 people. You can't just say.
I'm kidding.
1,000, like 4, dude. Tops.
12, maybe 12.
No, I hate the word Galentine's.
Why do you hate?
It's just a horrible portmanteau. There was an episode of Parks and Recreation where they were kind of making fun of it. Like, I can't remember her name. Amy Poehler's character was all excited for Galentine's Day. She was like, "We're gonna do stuff with just the girls."
I don't think I've ever heard of Galentine's Day until this track day thing. So,
Leslie Nope. I knew it was
Leslie Nope.
That's it, Leslie.
I only ever remember Ron Swanson because he's just the dude.
I know more than you.
Info is now filled out.
I believe you have sir, do you have a permit for that? Or he's like, oh, excuse me, I have a permit. This is just a piece of paper that says I do what I want.
Yeah.
It's the greatest character.
Okay. Hayden, would you like to do the intro?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, sound more enthusiastic.
Well, I just know that it's me by default. If it's not me, Steve's gonna have to step up and do it, and I know he doesn't want to.
I don't mind. Jeez.
No.
Go right ahead and go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. We're gonna get started now.
I'm totally good with it.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Colorado Cars and Coffee podcast with me, Hayden. Got Steve, David, and Riley. So just to jump straight into our event for the week on what is this going to be? Sorry, don't have my phone open. I think Sunday, February 7th, 8 to 10 a.m. Donuts and Cars. It's an event by Dave Lowry, who was on just a couple weeks ago with us. A little morning eat and greet. Dave will provide donuts, so grab your coffee and come say hello. And that'll be at 201 South Wilcox Street in Castle Rock.
Okay, on the 13th, from 9 a.m. to noon, we've got espresso and exhaust, and that's at the Vehicle Vault down in Parker. Their address is 18301 Lincoln Meadows. It's in Parker near Lincoln Avenue and Parker Road, so not too far off the main path there in Parker.
Not at all. And the next day, Sunday, February 14th, from 8 a.m. to 11, Cars and Coffee Loveland at Loveland Design Carpet 1 in, coincidentally, Loveland, Colorado, at 360 South Lincoln Avenue. That's just east of the Fairground Park. Coffee will be from the Human Being, and Troop 74315 will be there selling Girl Scout cookies. For the record, Samoas are the best, and all the rest of them are awful, except for frozen Thin Mints.
Do they still call them Samoas? I thought changed the name to something else.
Caramel Delights.
Yeah.
Well,
they're still the best, though.
Two manufacturers, I think, like some in the South and then some out towards this way. And it's weird. They have different names in different like regions of the U.S. But.
All right. First of all, I think only sociopaths like coconut and prefer it over other things in their cookies. First of all, but second of all, they have a s'mores cookie, and if you take 3 of those things and you put them and you spread them out and you put them in the microwave for like 10-15 seconds, you will never eat a Samoa for the rest of your life. But anyway,
I'm not seeing, Girl Scout s'mores. Oh, I don't know about these.
Oh, they're insanely good. I got sold out. They last time when I saw them, they were like, "Yo, this is the new thing. You got to try this." But last event on Saturday, February 13th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a Galentine's Track Day. This is at PPIR, Pikes Peak International Raceway. And this track day will provide instruction exclusively for women by women. So it's pretty exciting. I know we got some pretty talented lady racers in the area, and go get some good instructing from them. And that'll be at, like I said, PPIR in Fountain.
So, and if anyone else has an event, list it in the comments for us, and we'll gladly add it to our list. We're always looking for events. We need our event list is crowdsourced, so we need your help to populate those events. We can't find them all. We try, but we can't find them all.
So this is the EV special, the EV themed podcast. This week we're doing it with just us. Next week we got a few guests on, few industry experts, and few of our friends that own EVs and have for a few years. But Steve, if you want to jump in on any of this kind of not a disclaimer, but just
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, John put out a post on the group asking, what do you want us to talk about with concerning EVs? And there are some controversial topics that we're not going to get into. All of us here are really not EV experts. I mean, at least I'm not. I don't know if Hayden, are you an EV expert?
No, I would say I'm not.
Riley, are you an expert?
I'm not. No.
David maybe's our almost kind of expert. Almost
kind of.
So any of your tough questions, please go directly to David, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, some of the controversial stuff we're not going to get into. But if there's enough interest, we will actually dedicate a podcast to it. It's just we need more prep time and research on such as like the environmental concerns, the lithium mining, questions like the electrical grid. You know, can all the new cars that are coming that'll be electric, can the electrical grid power all these cars that are going to be electric? That'll take more research for us, and we didn't dive on that. So just to give you a heads up.
I do think. Sorry.
No, go ahead. That's all. I just want to cover that. We're not going to cover those topics tonight, but if there's enough interest, we will do it on a subsequent podcast.
I do think some of those questions, though, are some of the more intriguing aspects of this space. And if you're going to be looking to the future and look at, open your Robinhood or Fidelity app and look at Tesla stock and just say, can I justify buying this to myself? Those are the kinds of questions you probably do want to answer. Or if I don't know, if you want to get one yourself, you have to, maybe thinking about some of those things. But yeah, between when I first realized that we were doing this week, Sunday, and tonight, Wednesday night, yeah, I just didn't have the time to really dive deep into that stuff, but I want to. So, yeah, I guess first up, there's environmental concerns. What are they? How are they different from IC vehicles? I know Jason Fensky from Engineering Explained. I watched his video earlier, and he got into some of those. Just his video was specifically about what is it, because there's the question of like, is an EV actually more polluting to the environment over its life cycle than an IC car? And the short answer is no. But yeah, did you guys get into some environmental concerns and what some of those might be?
I think there can be better alternatives. I know Toyota just came out maybe a month or so ago with a new car. It's hydrogen powered. Obviously it's pretty new. I don't know if there are any others. I mean, I'm sure there are other cars that are hydrogen powered, but it's just not very heard of. But I know there's a lot of, it takes a lot to make those lithium ion batteries. And honestly, I'm not too sure how the hydrogen powered cars work, but I've seen that after you're done driving, it basically just dumps out water onto the street, which, that's completely fine. I mean, it just cycles right back down. But yeah, it could definitely be a better alternative than those lithium ion batteries in the future. Perhaps.
And the big issue with hydrogen is just infrastructure right now. There is nowhere. I mean, the charging grids are getting built out, right? But there is nowhere as of yet, except for a few places in California, that you can stop your first gen Honda Clarity or, whatever hydrogen fuel cell powered vehicle that you have and do that. But it does work really nicely at a kind of a localized level. So they're nice for like forklifts and those little trucks that pull trailers around.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Hayden. With the hydrogen, I mean, it's chicken and the egg problem there. Do you have a hydrogen car and enough of them to make it economical to put in a hydrogen station? but you don't want to buy a hydrogen car if there aren't any places to fill up the tank. With electricity and electric vehicles, you go on Amazon, you buy a charge point charger for $700, and you plug it into the wall. Done. You don't need no tanks, nothing. It's
a lot more accessible.
Yeah, if it's on Amazon Prime, you're better off.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. And just that, Tesla is building out, and we'll get into. I know that's down the list a bit, but get into more of that later. Tesla is building out their own proprietary charging network. So you are able to use those to go on road trips and stuff.
And you can make it coast to coast with Tesla now too. Yeah. And I know we'll talk about this next week with Kyle Connor, who just broke his own EV record for the Cannonball Run and how he charged their Porsche Taycan all the way across the United States. I talked to him a few weeks ago, and it was very much about Electrify America, I believe, was the company that they used.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big charging network. Definitely know of them.
Yeah, no, I think the battery range is definitely probably the biggest factor that plays into people trying to decide whether, to buy a gas or diesel powered car compared to, lithium ion batteries. Just, I know there are a lot of charging ports, in the urban areas, but once you start going out more rural, through mountains and stuff, obviously you see less and less of those. So I don't know what the chances of you being stranded on a road trip are, but it depends on where you're trying to go and weather conditions and stuff like that, because I do wonder when you're in a snowstorm or stuck in bad weather, how that's going to turn out in the end with the battery range.
And we'll get into more of that next week with our owners, but from what I understand, there is a difference, but it's not massive. And if you're kind of planning for it, then it's not too big of a deal. But just kind of wanted to, because we got to kind of segment it up here a little bit. Environmental concerns. So you have your battery, your battery minerals. You got your what is ultimately powering it, and I don't know, those are kind of the main ones. Obviously, one of the things that Engineering Explained said was that if you're running your EV in West Virginia, well, that's mostly coal going into it, whereas some other places have more renewable sources of energy. A lot are kind of mixed, but some are purely renewable for sure. And I see that we had a John silently slip in there, so my intro is now invalidated.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
How's your brother doing?
He's doing good.
Good.
He comes from California, visiting from California.
John slipped in late because he had family in town.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, those are, like Steve said in the beginning, that's stuff I want to get into a little bit more. Most mining is not great for the environment, but it's not necessarily worse than drilling for oil.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's been the big comparison, is the mining versus drilling for oil is similar in impact. Yes, they're both not a great thing, but so there's lots of research out there, and we can definitely deep dive on that. I started a little bit. I was checking out Jason with Engineering Explained. I was checking out Donut Media with their stuff, and they cover it pretty well. And those can be good places for us to start, and we can go from there. But let's move on to who all is making EVs. Then we've got I guess probably the better question is who's not making it.
None of the really major companies. I mean, top 3 car companies in the world, right, are Toyota, Nissan, Renault, and or actually in order would be Volkswagen, Toyota, Nissan, Renault, and I guess Toyota isn't. Am I wrong about this? Because you got to think they really implanted they've put their foot down as the hybrid manufacturer, and I think they're going to more hybrids. They certainly don't for the U.S., but anywhere else. Hang on a second.
As we're all Googling this as fast as
Hang on a second.
I mean,
I don't think so.
even Bentley's saying they're going to EVs by 2030. So,
well, doesn't it make the most sense for a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, because it's never really mattered what's powered it? It's supposed to be smooth and silent. It seems like the best application.
For them, it's all about the luxury and the smoothness. And because I've done a lot of the training with Bentley and with Rolls Royce on how to actually drive one of those vehicles for the manufacturers. I haven't done the full chauffeur training yet, but you never want to know that vehicle's in motion. You never want to know that it's stopping or turning. And
so maybe that's a perfect thing for EV then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did they tell you to drive it underhanded? Because I think Rolls Royce has the hand cutouts on the steering wheel. You drive it underhanded.
Tires and tarmac is the number one thing. You always want to see tires and tarmac in front of you. But that being a whole other subject, with Rolls, I did see that they are going to be making the silent shadow. They did play around with the idea of taking perhaps a Phantom or a Ghost or a Dawn and turning that into an electric vehicle. But it seems like that's not the right thing to do with those cars. So just do something brand new and bring that BMW technology, possibly from the i7 that'll be coming out, and putting that into the new Silent Shadow.
What I think would be cool is doing a resto mod EV, like the one of those 70s Rolls Royce, like Silver Clouds or whatever. They're
1942 Rolls Royce Phantom GT.
Amazing. And then it's just, and you just get you just source all your parts from EV West, and you just make your own. I mean, what you want to work with a 6 and 3/4 or 6.5, whatever that is, V12? No, come on, man. But so yeah, just quickly Googling it, not going too deeply into it. It does not look like there's any electric vehicle offering from Toyota, but they are now talking plans. So they're quite late to the game. I think my hunch
no full on EV. They have
can't find it.
So they have what's the PHEV, the plug-in hybrid EV is what they got?
Sure. Yeah, they've always, like I said, I mean, this is the company that came out with the Prius, right? So they've always kind of been hybrid. And I think Akio Toyota even made some comments recently that was a little bit more disparaging to the EV space and kind of, pushing hybrids a little bit. So who knows? They're certainly lagging behind the other, their big three competitors. But you got companies like Tesla and NIO that are just coming at it from an EV only sort of model.
And a lot of manufacturers are going to go EV only, but PHEV is going to be that stepping stone. I mean, the new Kia Sorento is a PHEV. You've got the BMW 330 and all the other BMWs, even 750. Ford, the F-150 Power Boost. If Ford's doing a pickup truck that's a PHEV or just a just partial EV, everyone else is going to follow suit. And Cadillac will end up being completely electric in just a few years by the end of the decade.
Yeah. I saw that it was GM Motors had put out a statement. What was this? Maybe about 6 days ago that they're planning on going fully EV by 2035. But, GM, a lot of trucks on the road are, Chevys and GMCs and stuff. But I think that plays into one of the bigger concerns, which is towing capacity. I honestly haven't seen any Teslas, pulling an RV behind them or anything like that. So I do think that would be interesting to see, how that works out with, these giant, truck manufacturers going fully EV.
And that's a totally different subject, but semi-truck manufacturers are now looking into the partial EV, especially for their big, heavy vehicles, because trying to get 65,000 pounds down the road, I mean, you need to build up torque. And that's the one thing EV gives us all the time. Whether you're doing 1 mile an hour or 100 miles an hour, you have torque always. And if these big, huge semi trucks have that torque, they can get back up to 55, 65, 70 miles an hour very easily and just use that diesel to putter on down the highway. Nice and easy, saving these drivers, if not thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a year on fuel costs alone.
It certainly seems like it would be a good application for it, but I think ultimately it just comes down to how does that affect the range? Towing, if you are towing 65,000 pounds.
Well, that's where the PHEV is just going to come into play, just like the BMWs.
Right. Yeah, true.
When you're wide open throttle, that electric motor is the thing that's going to get you up to speed and not use the gas engine to do it. And then once you're just puttering down the road, you're just dropping a little bit of gas in the engine every once in a while, keep going, and then recharging those batteries at the same time. I think it's an ideal application for big trucks, but let's play with it with the sportier BMWs first. Yeah, no, it's I mean, yeah, put like that. I had forgotten that you were talking about the PHEV. And no, it's sounds like it should be good. You get the electric or when you really need excessive torque, and then the diesel for the rest of the time. Why not? It'll work. It'll work fantastically. But those of us in the consumer side of things and working on passenger cars, that's where that technology is going to be born from. It's not going to go the other way around.
Yeah.
So then we get to play with all these fun cars.
So another thing that Steve mentioned that I wanted to get into more, because it's not even an angle I had really considered until recently, was just the macro power grid, just the electrical grid as a whole. So, we're at a place right now where at peak grid usage in some places, like California, sorry, not picking on you, but they are throttling electrical usage and, telling people to not turn their ACs all the way up in the middle of summer in LA. And because it's overpowering their electrical grid. So, what happened with EVs at currently 2% of global sales. I don't know. I don't think we have figures on here of how percent of cars on the road. Has to be significantly less than 2%. Just that, what happens when that number grows to 5%, 10%, 15, 20? What is that? What kind of stress does that put on the grid, and what infrastructure changes can be made? Did anybody get into this? Because it's so interesting to me, and I didn't quite have time to.
I have
not gallery.
Yeah. No. Does anybody out there in Facebook land know what the answer is to that question?
Because I know that who brought it to my attention was Matt Farah, and him building his big car storage facility in LA, and he wanted to get if you've seen like those big rows of Tesla superchargers, he wanted like something like that at his place, and along with like the universal ones. And they said, you can have 2. And he was like, really? They're like, yeah, 2. It was like, wow, okay, cool. So just that's all that his share of the grid could handle.
Well, next time, if any of you guys are flying anywhere soon, because we'll be doing that soon, hopefully, travel again. Go out and park at Fine Airport parking. They have got just rows of Teslas that you can rent over there. But what they did as well is they put in the infrastructure, at least the physical infrastructure, to be able to wire most of that building up with electrical charging stations. I don't know what their numbers are right now, but I think they've got 50 to 100 charging points for people who are flying out. And they've got the capacity for hundreds more.
Well, that's nice. I guess we're not having the same. I don't mean to keep picking on LA, but I guess we don't have their same, all the same limitations out there. That's nice. But
Colorado's definitely got an interesting power grid. I mean, for us with the charging and like press fleet vehicles, we're always looking to see where they are because we always want to make sure that those cars are delivered, as fully charged as possible. And all the different companies that are out there, from ChargePoint, EVgo, Electrify America, the Tesla superchargers, which are proprietary that we can't use on any of the other vehicles. ChargePoint has put in a lot of the level 2 chargers throughout Colorado and the metro area, which is great, but they're slower. EVgo is putting in a lot of the level 3 chargers, which is fantastic, but there's not nearly enough of them to go around. I've stood for an hour, even an hour and a half, waiting for a charger to free up just to get enough on the road to get back to the shop some days. So it's getting there, but right now it's the grid for Colorado is designed more around the people that are going to work and plugging their car in, and not necessarily the traveling public.
Yeah, and ultimately that's what you want for the public chargers is level 3s, because you can have
be able to get to Salt Lake City.
Right.
Without stopping. Well, I mean, that's getting old. I got to stop at least once, but
come on, man. I can't. Right? I'm trying to remember what that town is called on the edge of Wyoming. It's not coming to me. Or the edge of if you take I-80 over. Anyway, talking about ways to get to Salt Lake City, but there were quite a few articles in here. I know that Riley mentioned earlier, GM was talking about they want to go full electric by 2035, but there was something that they wanted. What was it, Steve? 20 EVs by 2025, which last I checked is 4 years.
No, I think it was 30 EVs by. 30. It was just a Will Ferrell advertisement for GM that just came out. I saw it today. Posted it up on the group.
Is that a car commercial or a travel commercial for Norway? I was really confused by that. I'm not sure, but apparently Norway is doing a lot more EVs than we are. So
Norway got way on board with big subsidies much earlier than we did for EVs, and I think per capita they have the most Tesla ownership in the world.
I'm not even sure which one is Norway. If you said point to Norway on the map,
you don't know Scandinavia, bro. You can't tell your Denmark from your Sweden from your Norway. Get out of here, dude. I know my Scandinavian geography perfectly. I hope you know Iceland at least. That's the little island out there. But no, that it just sounded like a ambitious target, and especially ones that are way down the road. You hear, I think there was Volvo announced this in the last 6 months or so, that by 2030 or 2035 we will be 100% electric, and it's like, okay, that's a nice thing to say. That it gives you a nice press release at the time, but ultimately lets you kick the can down the road, and you can. And once that time comes, you can say, "Oh, I don't know, we just didn't foresee this and that and the other limitation." I don't know, David. You deal with car media people. What do you? Maybe not those car media people, but
I really haven't heard much of that. I know that just from the general public, a lot of people say that, but I haven't heard that from any media people.
It just sounds like a nice thing that they can go on CNBC and talk about, but ultimately it's like, it's not necessarily in their control. And if ultimately the market forces aren't there for that to happen, then they're not going to do it. They're going to say, we're going to sell what is, what's viable, what ultimately has demand, and what has a practical use case.
Well, that's going to be with any car manufacturer, though. They're going to sell what sells. I mean, that's why the F-150 gets sold once every 32 seconds.
Yeah,
so
ridiculously
short. They're going to sell them, so add some of the electric to it, and let's see what happens. And then they'll just grow it from there. But electric is coming. One way or the other, electric vehicles are coming, and there's nothing we can do to stop it at this point. Some folks don't want to see it, but a lot of people went under 100 years ago with their horse stables in downtown Denver.
Yeah, so GM said 30 new EVs by 2025.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's such a huge number. I mean, especially, in the US at least, a lot more people are leaning towards, SUVs or, even hatchbacks or wagons. So, sedans are starting to become, a thing of the past in the US at least. So 30 models is just a lot, especially in that, 4 years or 5 year time period. It just, definitely.
Well, the thing is with GM is so many shared platforms, and the fact is they really do know how to make a good EV. We know this. If you see people talk about, various journalists talk about the Bolt, it seems like an amazing car by all means, for at least if an EV suits your lifestyle, if it can fill that space in your garage.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's definitely a better alternative than say, Tesla, because, not, everybody has, so much money to spend on a car like that. So, being able to get, a cheaper, yet EV car is definitely important. So I think that definitely helps to move, towards that direction. But
well, you can still pick up a Model 3 for $35,000 now.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Very, very basic one. Very basic.
Yeah.
I think Riley hit something without knowing it, though, when you said in the United States. General Motors is a global company.
Yeah.
So these 30 cars across all of their different brands and all of their different platforms, and take a look at what their sales are in Asia, Korea, even in Europe. The United States is not going to see all 30 different vehicles by 2030. It's going to be so many Buicks out in China, or just pick one of the brands.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I don't know what it'll be in Europe. I think they're starting to sell actually under Chevrolet in Europe. It had been like Vauxhall for a long time, but in any case, they can certainly roll out a lot of EVs. They make a good one, but 30 in the next 4 years, I think, is a little overly ambitious, but makes for a good press release.
But is it? I remember the Cavalier and the Sunfire and all the other cars that were exactly the same, except the body was different.
Well, no, that's what I said. It's a lot of shared.
Chevy, changed the grill back in the 90s is all they really did. But you can say, we've gotten 3 vehicles. Here's 3 great EV vehicles, when all of it is just different shells on the same platform. So once you take that into account, you want 30 different cars? We'll make you 30 different cars. They're all going to be the same. It's going to be the same generator, same battery pack, same motor, same all of it. We'll just put different seats in it and a different body on it. Boom, 30 different vehicles. Done.
All right. We'll see about it, man. Like I said, if anybody can implement it, it's probably GM, just with all the, or like a Volkswagen Auto Group, just somebody that has like a really like integrated platforms that can, because everything Volkswagen is basically the same platform mostly, at least anything that's, pretty much everything. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't, if the demand is there for it, is ultimately what will dictate that. But
and prices are going down too. So
yeah, and if they can come out with something that's $25,000 before any tax credits, that'll be or any
it'll be
any
great to get away
subsidies.
from tax credits. And what are we looking at for tax credits now? Steve, do you have those numbers?
No, I don't.
It was like $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that for.
Oh, here we go. Colorado cars right now, $4,000 tax credit from the state of Colorado if you're purchasing a vehicle, but $2,500 if it's a lease. And then, of course, they're going to charge you a $50 annual registration fee, which I assume is going to be part of or addition to your usual annual getting your plates and your tags, which does make sense because if these vehicles aren't going to be using any gasoline, we're not going to see that income from the gas tax for all of our road infrastructure and everything else that goes to. So tacking on a couple of extra bucks onto your registration is inevitable.
And if I'm not mistaken, the $7,500 federal one still applies too.
I believe that's right. So what are we looking at? 75 plus 4.
Yeah, so
And that's not a bad chunk.
12.5, yeah.
So if you're looking at a Bolt,
11.5.
How much is the Bolt going for now?
Oh, they're like 25, 30 or so, maybe more, maybe a little bit more, but I thought like right around 30. The current $4,000
information from John about current credits.
The current $4,000 credit for purchase of a qualifying electric or plug-in hybrid passenger vehicle will drop to $2,500 on January 1st and remain there until 2023. I assume it means next year, at which point it will drop to $2,000. A lease credit currently $2,000 will be $1,500 from 2021 to 2025.
That's great. I mean, as the prices of these vehicles are going down, relatively speaking, the credits are going down as well. So eventually we won't need or see the credits, and we'll be buying a Bolt for whatever MSRP is.
No, and that's good. I think ultimately, if you want to subsidize, expensive technology, that's how you should do it. It should taper off over time, and then hopefully it becomes, you get your economies of scale, and it becomes cheaper to produce. But
demand goes up, supply goes up, and the technologies are cheaper. I think
talking stonks, bro. No,
right?
So Colorado and EVs, they've got an electric vehicle plan for 2020. Have you guys had a chance to take a look at that?
I have not.
There was a lot of reading.
Yeah, so their plan for Colorado Electric Plan Vehicle 2020, a large-scale transition of Colorado's transportation system to zero-emission vehicles, with a long-term goal of 100% of light-duty vehicles being electric and 100% of medium and heavy-duty vehicles being zero-emission. So the goals that they wanted, the way they're going to take this on is through 5 goals: increasing the number of light-duty EVs to 940,000 by 2030.
That's not good news for us.
Well, I mean, that's good.
Plans for transitioning medium-duty, heavy-duty, and transit vehicles to ZEVs. A ZEV is a zero-emission vehicle. Developing an EV infrastructure goal by undertaking a gap analysis to identify type and number of charging stations needed across the state to meet 2030 light-duty vehicle, medium-duty vehicle, and heavy-duty vehicle goals. And then agencies meeting directives and goals, and then developing a roadmap to full electrification of the light duty vehicle fleet in Colorado. So these are the plans of our Colorado government have for.
These are government vehicles, or all of all cars they want to. They would like.
It doesn't say, but how many vehicles are in Colorado? Does anybody know? I don't know.
6 million people, so I imagine Half that at least on the road.
Conservatively, right?
Yeah, I mean, how many cars heck, I have 3.
I can't imagine the government having 940,000, right?
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, that's
Well,
got to be.
I think that is private owners and encouraging owners to go electric by 2030.
Well, I don't know. Some of us will have to become defectors, I guess.
Possibly.
I don't know. I don't want to give. I'm not trying. I don't think I ever want to stop driving gas cars completely.
Well, we all do.
Much less in 9 years.
Right.
Mark, you're right about the used car prices for EVs. The Fiat 500e, the Golf EV. You can find a Golf for what, 16,000 for a used Golf EV.
Yeah.
I thought they just continued the Golf EV.
They did.
Oh, they did?
But,
yeah, we're talking used, right?
A used one.
Okay. Yeah.
The e-Golf. Which
I do like that comment too about for commuters. I mean, not everybody here is going to be doing the long distance. And I know that's a huge contentious point for a lot of people. Like, I would love to be able to drive to Salt Lake City in one go. But if I look at, for instance, my wife who travels 9 miles to get to work every day, I mean, she could get almost any one of these electric vehicles and not even have to bother charging it for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right.
And
I saw a statistic on commuters, and it's 80% of commuters, it's 40 miles or less per day that they're driving. So an EV is perfect for that.
Really is. I mean, how much electricity are you really going to use, for somebody that only goes 400 or 500 miles every month? Then you never have to go into another gas station or 7-Eleven again, ever.
Thanks, John. He's saying there's 2 million cars registered in Colorado.
Oh, perfect.
The other part of that, so it's actually closer to 1 car for every 3 people. That's interesting. But
we're gonna have to ruin those statistics. Buy more cars, every one of us.
Yeah, everybody here is bringing up the averages, so that's good. And probably most of our group, because it's no good to have just 1 car to do it all. You need a car for every specific task and type of driving that you like to do. But
you're not doing your part.
I had a thought before that, and then I got sidetracked with 1 car for every 3 people in Colorado.
Let's talk about range anxiety. So if we're not going for just a commuter car that does 40 miles or less a day, and we want to go to Salt Lake City, what are the options? What's out there?
Well, Tesla has to be possible,
Tesla seems
right?
to be the big name in the game for range right now, right?
For your road trips, for range, but also just for the road trip infrastructure. If you want to, obviously you can drive across country, but I would imagine, there's probably a supercharger between here and Salt Lake City, which I think you should just need 1 for the longer range. It's like a little over 500 miles.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tesla just comes to mind because, they have a great navigation system. So, say you do want to go to Salt Lake City, it'll map out, all the superchargers along the way and then split it to intervals. So, you don't have to be sitting, at one station for, say, 2 hours. I think, they split it up so it's only like, maybe 30 minutes here and there or something like that, just so you're not wasting a large amount of time. But
so they help you plan out your trip pretty well.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see what the other manufacturers come up with because, they've got some competition with that.
Well, I think most of them probably they end up just going into the universal, thing with the what was it? Electrify America and Charge Point. Yeah.
There aren't nearly as many of those, are there? Though, right?
They're around.
That's a tough one, Tim. You can't go to Salt Lake with your Spork. That's unfortunate.
So I'm looking at the Charge Point website right now, and the DC CHAdeMOs between here and Salt Lake, there's only 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe a dozen. between here and Salt Lake City. So that's your level 3 fast chargers. So there's a dozen charging opportunities between here and there. Well, who's to say that there's not going to be somebody who just plugged theirs into a fast charger and then walked away to go shopping for 4 hours, and now you can't charge your car.
Yeah. Right.
So that's my biggest anxiety for long distance is having access to those fast chargers. And they are being built. There are more and more. The last time I checked this, the number was half that. So
I've also heard of those having technical issues and being unavailable for that reason. So obviously you would hope that you could stay informed on that, but it doesn't always seem to be the case. All right. All the charge point stations. Is this
This is Denver.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm looking at Denver here, right? Yeah, quite a few. All my EV owning friends seem to have one that's kind of close enough to them.
Oh, there's thousands of them in the state,
but they're not all DC level 3 fast chargers.
Correct.
Or is that, or what are we looking at here, Steve?
These are just. I think these are all the chargers. It's not.
Okay.
It's not fast chargers or anything.
Yeah.
So Tim, are you talking about like vandalism, like pulling the plug out of level 2, or are you talking about something else?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of them in the area. I think ultimately, and this is important if you, and what, I know what I was thinking about earlier. A lot of this is, it hinges on you having a garage and a place to charge it. I mean, if you're parking on the street, are you really, obviously the level 2 thing is completely out the window, but are you really going to run an extension cord from inside your apartment or condo or whatever out to the street every night? Probably not. So a lot of this is still contingent on you having a garage and where you can really set up the level 2 and a place to charge it. Not everybody has to set up the level 2, but if you're driving a couple hundred miles a week, I would think it becomes impractical at a certain point to constantly just charge it with 110 volts.
Yeah. I think that can become, super big, issue with people, say renting an apartment, because, in the parking garages, there's not a lot of power supply sources. So, it's going to cost way too much money to, set up a charging station, at each parking space. And, you're not going to be able to even run an extension cord to, all these different people. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's, a super big problem if you don't have your own access to, your own, set, even just an outlet or something like that.
Right. Yeah. It becomes impractical at a certain point.
Hey guys, let's take a quick break. Does anyone have a car trivia question?
I have a couple of good ones. I got one throwaway one that I think will get answered really quick, and one that's a little harder.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give away some stuff. We'll give away a bag of coffee from our sponsor, Randy at Elite Roofing. And it's from blendedcoffeeroasters.com. So go ahead, David. Throw out a softball.
Softball? All right. Without looking this one up, because this is very easily Googled. Who is the largest manufacturer of tires in the world? Seems like such a simple question.
I think I know, but I will refrain.
Yeah, I think I know, but I'm not. Yeah, it's actually tough. It's between 2 for me, but yeah, I will not answer.
What are the size of these tires, David?
I mean, they range from, the smaller size to slightly bigger. I mean, this is all kind of relative in terms of, a tire is a tire.
My first thought, by the way, the first one that came to mind, I was correct. So just had to throw that out there.
Well, the first time I heard this, that never occurred to me.
Oh yeah,
I think I've heard this question before, David. So that's why I kind of I'll hold off, of course, on answering. But
I know one person who's watching
I think I know the answer.
One person who's watching is a big tire enthusiast. I know for sure. Maybe
so. David, is Tim correct with his answer?
Dunlop, Dunlop's a great company, and I've bought many of their products, but unfortunately, that is not correct.
It's not correct.
We need sound effects.
How about Vic? Vic's answer.
I think Vic might be onto something. Whoever said they had to be on real cars? Tiny little tires. Billions and billions of tiny little tires. So yes, Vic is correct. The number one manufacturer of tires in the world is Lego. With around 320 million of these tiny little tires every year. By contrast, Goodyear is sitting somewhere around 175 million. And those are for real cars.
So I was not thinking outside the box at all.
Well, I mean, it depends. How big of the box is it? Because you get the little 1x1s, and you get the 2x4s, and you can just keep building your little box.
I'm going to go ahead and say that in sheer volume of rubber, that Bridgestone, the Bridgestone company is still killing Lego, but I could be wrong.
That would be an interesting number to find out.
So, David, you're just saying numbers of tires. That was
numbers of individual
numbers.
tires.
Gotcha. Numbers.
Okay. That's an interesting distinction because I was not, like I said, I would have to outside the box think that one intentionally to arrive at.
Okay, so Mark Gomez, he will reach out to you, Vic, to get your information. But congratulations on winning some coffee. Okay, we'll continue our podcast tonight, and we'll have more giveaways as we go. But what's next, guys? What's next on the list?
I believe the next topic, and I think Hayden, you're going to want to talk about this one a lot because you are a racing guru.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, Volkswagen set the Pikes Peak record at 8 minutes. What does this look like for the future of racing? Are we going to start seeing NASCAR and F1 migrating over to electric at some point?
In my opinion, no. But that's just because the technology is not even close to being there for a car to do 500 miles more or less at 200 miles an hour around Daytona. That's just not really there. We do have EV racing. There is Formula E and the series that support it, and it's pretty good racing. And there's some really, really genuinely talented guys in there.
How long are those races usually? Because I've never actually watched one.
40 minutes or so. Hang on a second. I've watched them enough that I should know that right off the top of my head.
So it'll be really interesting to see what pit crews do in the future for this kind of thing. I mean, and the developing of the different technologies or battery swaps, or are they allowed to swap cars?
Tim, for the first couple years of Formula E, they did do battery pack swaps. I don't believe they do that anymore.
Car swaps. They would pull into their garage. Another car is waiting. They get out, get into the other car and do it. But it's been this coming season will be either number 3. I want to say number 3, third season where they have not done car swaps. The car lasts for the entire race, and they are 50-minute races. So, but yeah, that's obviously for Pikes Peak, and we've touched on this in previous podcasts, but for Pikes Peak, it's kind of the perfect application for EVs because anything, even if it's turbocharged, is going to lose power at the top of the mountain because they start at 9,000 feet on Pikes Peak and go up to 14,000, and they lose range, or they lose power because there's just not enough air available to make explosions in the engine with. So yeah, Volkswagen developed the IDR for it was for a task. They took their one of their best factory drivers, who also is experienced in the hill climb, Romain Dumas, and sent him up shattered the old record. But John, am I right about that? Is it 8,000 or 9,000 feet, or is it closer to 10,000 that they start at?
I think it's closer to 10,000.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot. I just know that you're Pikes Peak guy as well. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know all the details, but I believe that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it might even be 10,000 feet.
John, you got your press pass for this year, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to start learning this, buddy.
Yeah, I'm already trying to, get my get training done for altitude.
Oh yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy
Right.
up there. Even if you're just spectating and not moving around a lot, it's a slog.
Yeah,
we were
at Devil's Playground.
We were part of the Bentley team that same year that Volkswagen won, where Bentley took the 12-minute record in the SUV, and even our guys who were just standing there most of the time were just this.
Yeah.
Any sort of
experience.
movement, any sort of walking around is quite the effort.
Yeah,
It's
above the tree line.
The people from the East Coast in Detroit walk around in that mountain thinking, this will be easy.
Yeah,
but the cars handle it better than the people do.
Yeah, I mean, even the drivers use oxygen because they can even get a little delirious after a while, and you get towards the top and it's high. You're no longer falling into a bunch of trees that are going to slow you down. It's it's kind of more sheer rock.
But EVs come into their own on Pikes Peak, right? They're not giving up. They're not giving up torque or anything at the end, although they have maybe some battery loss. But still, they're actually quite well suited for a Pikes Peak race.
Yeah,
right. And you can optimize the size of the battery pack. That's why it is awesome that Volkswagen developed a car specifically for it, because you can optimize the size of the battery pack to run 10 minutes and no more than that. So
I think the biggest challenge that the EV teams have had with Pikes Peak is not necessarily with the vehicles themselves running the mountain, it's with charging them, because the infrastructure to charge the vehicles is not up on the mountain. So they have to actually bring in, ironically enough, diesel generators to charge the vehicles, which can't run at those altitudes as effectively as they like. So it takes them longer, and it changes the inputs and the outputs for those generators. So while the cars do come into their own, like you say, Steve, they're going to have to put in some charging stations up on that mountain pretty soon. This continues.
Yeah, speaking of that, my friend Chris Lennon, who has a electric Porsche, he has batteries, in the rear. He has it in the passenger seat. He's like surrounded by batteries. It's insane.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's like something that's been retrofitted to be EV?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had a company out in California. They brought, I guess, a whole bunch of like engineers and such, and they come over and they're like, "Oh, try this," and he doesn't even have any gauges in front of him. They just tell him to drive.
Well, no RPMs, no gears. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, no oil pressure. There's a lot of stuff you don't have to. No fuel.
All right.
Yeah, pretty much just need to know like speed, and that's about it.
Just keeping it on the ground. Well, I guess one of the main reasons to bring this up, though, is how much technology that's in our vehicles today, especially with crash technology, is come out of NASCAR and Indy and F1, and those were the things that the manufacturers got to really play with their vehicles and play with the technology to get it further and further, that while we don't see that technology in consumer vehicles now, 10 or 15 years from now, we're absolutely going to benefit from all these racing teams. Where does EV play into all of this going into the future? Maybe it's the PHEV that we're going to see in NASCAR at some point. Like
that I wouldn't discount the possibility of. I mean, Formula One went hybrid for the 2014 season, and I mean, obviously, LMP1, the top level of prototype racing in the world, went hybrid. A while back, the new spec is going to allow for hybrids or non, but yeah, that certainly does trickle down to it, and that's one reason why I think, I don't know, something about like the EV and PHEV Porsche stuff is really really intriguing, because you're like, hey, they learned this, they developed this technology at Le Mans, and they were really successful with it. They won what I think 3 of the 4 years that they entered, all except for the first year.
So just back to Pikes Peak real quick. The EV has the record right now, right? The VW IDR.
Yeah,
it's got
8 minutes.
7:57.
Yep.
So it's beat Sebastian Loeb's time of 8:16, 8:13.
Yep. Yeah, I just mentioned
8:13. Yeah, the gas
earlier, because the thing is about Sebastian Loeb's car is that it was a cool car and everything, but they essentially started with a WRC car that they already had, and then made that, just optimize that for Pikes Peak, and put the engine in the middle and all that. But the IDR is it looks like it looks like a Le Mans prototype. It's especially with a slightly shorter wheelbase, but it's made for Pikes Peak. It has the really, really big wings and generates a lot of downforce, like a lot of the cars that you see there, because it's not the highest speed course, Pikes Peak. You only, even in a really fast car like a GT3 car that'll do 175 at Daytona, it really only gets up to 155, 160 on Pikes Peak. There's just not nearly as much room to run, so you need that big aero. And it's one of the
fast. Yeah,
it's one of the more open motorsports in the world, Pikes Peak. That's one reason why it's so interesting. So the IDR has active aero. The wings move around to optimize just for straight line speed and for corner speed. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that they can do there that they can't do in something like endurance racing, much less Formula One or IndyCar, NASCAR.
Okay, let's take another giveaway break. John, looks like you got trivia questions, so take it away. Again, we're giving away a bag of coffee from Elite Roofing.
All right. My question is for trivia: is Ralph Teeter was an inventor despite being blind? What car accessory did he invent?
Ooh. Oh, you did not come with a softball at all.
What's the guy's name again?
Ralph Teeter, Teetor.
Okay. Don't know the answer to that one.
I'm not even gonna. I don't even think we can say don't Google that, because if you know that off the top of your head, I'm pretty impressed. Okay, no, I got it.
So a blind man invented something for cars.
Yeah.
Is it the drive-through touchpad at the ATM machine? Because those do have great.
They do.
And the bag of coffee goes to David. All right. But yeah, I don't know. That Pikes Peak thing. I don't know if we're gonna see someone beat that soon. I mean, the Sebastian Loeb one was it 2012 or 2013 was pretty impressive, but I think it kind of has that same air to it. Like, wow, that's really crazy. The best rally driver ever. Really going at it versus a very great racing driver, a 24 hours of Le Mans winner, and Romain Dumas with a specialized car.
Yeah, a full 16 seconds faster than Sebastian.
Yeah, which is crazy that he was even that close. Because, like I said, they retrofitted a WRC car to do that. Now, John is the rally guy. I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it happened.
That IDR was custom designed for Pikes Peak, right?
Yeah, it's a ground up car. I don't even think it was based on something that they already had sitting around. Like maybe they took I don't even believe they took the tub of like the Porsche 919 and then no, I think they developed. They said we want that record and we're gonna go take it.
So Vic has an answer. Vic's already won, so he can't win again tonight. But maybe somebody else wants to take his clue and use it. Just hint, hint.
What could it possibly be with that hint? It's still crazy that a blind man would, because need is usually why we invent something. I want to know what need precipitated this for this man.
Yeah. Supposedly he was also the president of a company that was known for making piston rings, and I thought that was pretty amazing.
It's interesting.
Yeah, Tim, a full minute. Sebastian had
also the president of
beat the previous records.
company that
Somebody have their speakers up.
I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you got your speakers on, turn them down a little bit.
Is that you, Riley? Everybody else has headphones on.
No, I'm not listening to anything.
Oh no, it's not me.
Yeah, if you got your speakers
on, turn them down.
I mean, no, mine's super low anyway, so.
Huh. Okay.
Tim,
John, you did not give an easy question.
Tim, that's not correct. Sorry.
We're
gonna move on. So let's move
on.
Yeah. So what else do we want to talk about as far as EVs and technology and Colorado and the future and all these other good things?
I saw there had been rumors the last couple weeks of an Apple car, and that's been something that has been talked about for a long time, but maybe some kind of technical partnership this time around.
Yeah, with Hyundai, they're talking to them, but they're also talking to GM and Stellantis. So I've seen a lot of jokes about the Apple car. Will it have windows and that kind of thing? But
no, that's bad. That's good, but it's bad.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that angle.
Will the speakers be wireless, and you lose them all the time?
And like all the accessories you have to buy, you have to buy tires? Do you have to?
Right. You need a subscription to roll down your windows.
Yeah.
Like we could make all these jokes in the world. They're not one of my clients, so I think I own one Apple product, and that's it.
Yeah, I got addicted to the phone early, but I'm a PC guy.
And I found the droid I was looking for.
Hey, there you go. Hey, some people do. I don't know. I've gotten too used to the iPhone, but I think ultimately, maybe if they really get into a technical partnership with an auto manufacturer, it could get off the ground. But it just seems like one of those things that comes around every few years, and it just doesn't. It just never really pans out because I think they look at it and they go, "Whew. Wow, we need to do all that to make a car." I wasn't really thinking about that. That's quite a bit, and that's it's some of the stuff that Elon Musk talks about with really getting Tesla off the ground. It's one thing.
We have to know how to paint a car. We didn't realize that.
Wait a second. We have to use a certain kind of paint. We can't just hit Sherwin-Williams Automotive. Just hit. Wow, this is a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure Riley might be able to attest between polishing on a Tesla versus a Chevy.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and honestly, actually, that's a good segue, David. Let's turn it over to Riley. He is our sponsor, so Riley, take it away. What's your business and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so I'm the owner of Shiny Solutions Auto Detail. We're over in Centennial, right off of University in Arapahoe. Obviously the sponsor of Cars and Coffee. But yeah, I specialize in various different things from just your basic detailing packages up until coatings and other paint correction, debadging, all that good stuff. But yeah, back to David's question about the paint. Honestly, GM paint and Tesla paint are both pretty horrible. Tesla is known to come with a lot of defects, like orange peel, which is overspray of clear coat. There's a whole segment or just multiple threads and groups just dedicated to a Tesla paint. Just issues with it.
I've heard other detailers talk about this too.
It
does seem to be a thing in the detailer community, although I'm not really involved. I've just kind of heard from a few different people that don't know that, I don't think they coordinated it. But.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's they just have go into so much mass production. They just don't have enough time to, really do quality work. And so, a lot of it's just, clear coat running down. A lot of scratches when they wrap the cars with those, protective plastic linings from, the factory to the dealers. A lot of issues with that. But GM black paint is probably the worst thing to walk the planet. I mean, when you wipe off the compound residue, you can scratch that paint with a microfiber cloth. So, both really delicate, just faulty paints pretty much.
Does that orange peel issue, does that just require some kind of wet sanding? Is that they just don't finish the job over there?
Honestly, you're really not going to see a lot of people want to get that corrected because, it's going to take a lot of time, obviously take, a lot of money to get that done because, you have to wet sand, then compound, then polish, and you're already spending, upwards of probably $1,000 already. Then you're going to want to go ahead and seal that. So, your investment lasts, which is a good, $1,000 on top of that. So all in all, to fix, the manufacturer's, faulty paint work, it's around $2,000. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't really understand, how, swirl marks are created. Just a lot of people don't understand really how delicate paint is and how easy it is to, mess up.
Well, I think all of us that occasionally pop into the pay and spray car washes, they see somebody there with a brush.
Yeah, and that's a good thing with our, other sponsor, Auto Wash. The touchless washes are, much better, obviously, than just say some Shell gas station with the, rolling cloths and stuff.
Drive through or
Wonder Brush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Riley, I will tell you all about my experience working for Avis Budget Group and washing cars at the airport.
Yeah.
That's not good. I know they're not taking Riley's
bucket and
care on that. Not even close, I would imagine.
It's funny that you assume that they have a bucket.
Oh yeah.
Many buckets are involved. I got it. But I've heard that maybe and perhaps the GM and Tesla are among the worst offenders. I've heard that all kinds of different manufacturers can be quite bad. I know that some guys that even buy brand new Porsches will order them. They'll say, do not PDI, do your PDI to the vehicle. Just keep the plastic on them and, deliver it to me that way. And I'll do my detail.
Honestly, a lot of it's the dealer's fault, or some of them. I'm not going to speak to all, but like I said, at those the automatic tunnel washes, that first wash is going to be pretty crucial. So that one wash is just really going to screw up the the whole entire car for until however long. Even if you do get the paint corrected, which a lot of people don't, because let's face it, a lot of people don't really care about the swirl marks or even know what they are. They, at this point, a lot of people just think they're normal or don't even notice them. But yeah,
that's a good question, Riley. What would you say the percentage of everyday person comes in for a service or a detail on your car versus, say, an enthusiast who has some Porsche or BMW or some cool car, classic car or something, what would you say is the percentage of what you see?
Probably maybe 1%. I mean, any people that reach out to me about coatings and stuff, it's a lot of nicer cars. Like I think the last inquiry about a ceramic job was it was a Tahoe, but it was like the SS trim, so it had the bigger engine and just but I think a lot of consumers just don't really, a lot of people just aren't honestly aware that it can be taken care of. But yeah, I mean, I try and inform people that, say, hey, like all these little, spider web looking marks on your paint can be taken care of, but, at the same time, trying not to upsell them to, just be honest. But yeah.
Right.
If you can just get some, because obviously us car guys, we're looking for stuff like that, and we're aware of if we did get a new door ding and just small details that most people not going to notice at all. But yeah, if you can just open people's eyes to that and that kind of stuff, and hopefully get some work off of that. That's excellent. Doing the Lord's work.
One of my favorite things to do is like little test spots. So, I tape off a little section with some, painter's tape and, just, show them what, even just a one-step polish can do. And, a lot of people are just amazed,
Just A and B.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's perfect.
And one of the great things about EVs, though, going forward for detailing, no more engine cleaning.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can't, that
no
was
more, no more exhaust cleaning out the carbon buildup.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And
honestly,
all
the underbody.
Yeah.
All the rust that we're not going to have anymore because that whole underbody is just plastic now. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful.
No, I go at, wheels all day with, iron remover just to, try and get all that brake dust off. But yeah, it'll definitely be a lot easier without, all those, oils and greases and grimes and, brake dust from, the calipers and such. But yeah,
I get too many flashbacks to the 80s with iron remover because it smells exactly like perm solution.
Oh yeah, I mean I didn't even open it, and it smelled super bad. Just in the box without even breaking the seal. It really
how it's working. It smells bad. That's how it's working. It's like NyQuil.
But
iron remover is some nasty stuff. I got highly exposed. That's right up there with like transmission fluid. I got exposed to some of that at work the other day. I was like, I just smelled something with it on it, and I felt like my throat was burning for the rest of the day.
It'll clean your sinuses out good.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it for sure. But was there any? I mean, you kind of went through some of your services and stuff that you offer. Is there anything else you wanted to tell the people before we get out of here?
I mean, obviously,
where they find you and whatnot.
Yeah. So I'm on all the social media platforms. If you search me up on Google, just a company name, I should pop right up. As a Cars and Coffee member, you can enjoy 20% off all services. Periodically throughout the year, I might throw in another discount, around the holidays or other times of the year. And so I'll actually put the Cars and Coffee discount on top of that. So, at times you can be looking at, a good 50% off. So, as a member, you can get some really good discounts in. So I would definitely say, use that to your advantage. So
and that's Shiny Solutions Auto Detail. Yeah.
Yep. Correct.
And I can attest to Riley's work ethic and the job they did on my car. I did an awesome job inside and out. So
thank you.
Thank you for that. You did a great job.
Yeah. Thanks.
And I know that Steve doesn't, he won't trust his stuff to just anybody. It is saying something if Steve gives you the
I don't take the car to 7-Eleven to get a car wash.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that pretty much brings us to wrapping up.
Looks like we got an additional question from Mark.
Do we? Sorry.
Anything to slow down the mag chloride buildup that we see during the winter?
Stay home.
Stay home. I mean, honestly, just cleaning it as much as you can. I mean, obviously it doesn't make sense, with weather coming, but it really does matter when you clean off all those, salts and such, because, I had a car come in yesterday and just so many water spots all over the paint. And, it can be really hard to get off the longer it sits, the worse it's going to get. So just clean it as much as you can, especially the undercarriage. Because salt can, not be great with, the metal components underneath. So, yeah.
Which isn't always easy if you don't have you don't have the actual like undercarriage tool, which is cool. I had a friend let me use one once. Yeah. You can kind of with the drive through, or not drive through, but just the touchless car washes, you can kind of get under there a little bit, but I always try to get way up in into the wheel wells and stuff, because that's really where it's slinging around, and that's kind of where you don't want it building up, is in your rockers and whatnot. So very, very rust prone areas. Was there anything else you saw in there, Steve?
No, I don't think so. I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up. We've been going here about an hour and a half. So again, we're not EV experts, but we just wanted to come together and discuss them a little bit and kind of see what all you guys were thinking about them. And we did want to look at that technology and what Colorado is doing with EVs, and what their future holds is pretty interesting. We know there's a lot of controversy over some environmental concerns and electrical grid and the power concerns, but we know that the battery tech's getting better and better every year. The incentives are good for EVs, and they make great options for commuters. And as the infrastructure gets better as far as charging stations, we'll see more and more better range and ability to continue a ride to Salt Lake City or wherever, Las Vegas or somewhere fun, with a longer times. So that's all I had. You guys have anything else?
I want to know what everybody would buy. Steve, what would you buy? Just off the top of your head. If you were to get an EV right now, what would you get?
I want to hear Hayden's first.
I got a feeling we'll have to add about 30 minutes.
I think we're
I've got options. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, and I've talked about how cool this car seems on this podcast too, although have not driven one yet. Has to be the Porsche Taycan, but the Cross Turismo, the wagon, has to be that. I would be fine with a 4S at only 523 horsepower. I think it is. I think the turbo is low 600s and then maybe even low 700s for the Turbo S, which is ridiculous. Certainly fun to impress your friends with sometimes, but I don't think I would need that much power for the road. But I did look it up because I wasn't sure if they're available now. They did have the bit of a delay, and I think it was kind of related to COVID rolling those cars out. But you can order them, and they should be hitting dealers, I think. Maybe late like Q2 2021, early Q3, maybe like around spring summer, hopefully. So that's it for me. That's the one for me. We'll say Taycan, Cross Turismo, 4S, and get some kind of crazy paint color.
And because of that answer, I had a backup going in. So.
We knew that we had the same primary.
It was definitely a Taycan, but my backup is a little more exotic. It's the Lotus Evija. So
okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, I would do one of those if I had the means, of course. So
that's a good one, John.
Are you able to?
Yeah, John. What's that?
What's the do we know what the availability of that? I know that's something that they're doing, but are you going to be able to get one like this year?
I think it's this year.
Okay, then it's acceptable.
Yeah. John, what about you?
John, have you got one?
For me, there's one I found. It's the Renault 5, the Alpine version. I guess it's kind of like a little hot hatch, kind of rally oriented. Looks really cool. I'm kind of all about the hatchbacks rally kind of thing.
Renault 5 Alpine? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's a cool looking car.
Yeah.
There's an EV of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Renault 5 EV concept is
okay.
a car and driver calls it adorable.
Oh, it is kind of adorable.
It
looks like a
Pikachu.
Good hot hatches. It looks like an excited little puppy. It wants to have fun with you.
Yeah.
It looks at you and just jump up and down and go, can we go? Please. Hey, Spike.
David, you asked the question, so surely you've got something in mind.
I do. I'm gonna go with the Mach-E right now.
Okay.
I've been driving that one around a little bit last few weeks, and I think one of the biggest selling points is it's a company that's been around for a long time, and you can't swing a dead cat even in the middle of the country and not find a Ford dealership.
Yeah.
So the support network is there. If anything does go wrong, we know it won't because it's a good quality product from a fine quality manufacturer.
That's right. Nothing, no Ford in the history of the world is ever broken.
Right. None whatsoever. As I start to sound like the bad guy from Tommy Boy.
As John has is like remembering like Vietnam right now. It's like, I didn't have a turbo for weeks.
What about you, Riley?
I'm probably gonna have to hop on the Taycan bandwagon, but
that's okay. Nobody went a plaid Model S.
But I started, maybe 2 weeks ago. They're starting to. I don't know if it's just a concept or if they started to release them yet, but there are 4-wheel drive options that are supposed to be available, which obviously important in Colorado, but
So they actually, all of the ones that they introduced first, which were the Turbo S, and 4S, were all all-wheel drive.
Really?
The new one that they're going to come out with, I would imagine, is what's going to be the base, and the S are going to be rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
So,
opposite.
So they release the high-end models first and then lower down, which is kind of what we're seeing for a lot of the EV platforms. Obviously like the Model S, the 3 and the S, they came out with the higher trends first. But one piece of news we didn't go over is that the Plaid Model S is coming out, so you're going to be able to buy a 1,000 horsepower Model S here soon enough.
What kind of 0 to 60 for that? Two
low. Hang on a second.
What kind of car manufacturer names everything they do after Spaceballs?
Well, the thing is, Spaceballs is the only movie Elon Musk has seen. So it has to be. Sorry, that's Matt Ferris' joke, not mine. But yeah, it's saying sub 2 seconds, Steve. If tires are going to allow for that, I don't know. We'll find out. But it did 127.6 around Laguna Seca, and that's quick. It's about 4 seconds slower than, say, a GT3 car. It's not bad. But
so 3 Taycans, 1 adorable automobile, and 1 Ford product is what it comes down to. So Porsche wins, but I think John wins.
A crazy Lotus concept too, or not a concept. I mean, it's coming out, but EV Lotus hypercar.
Yeah. John wins this one with the most adorable.
It's too cute.
I like that.
Too cute.
It's awesome. I want to see John driving around in that sooner than later.
I'm tempted. Yeah, I mean that's pretty nice.
So, well, I guess that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'll turn it over to John to do the outro for us, and please join us next week. We are doing another EV podcast, but we'll have actual EV experts with us. We'll have several EV owners. We'll have a former Tesla employee, and we'll have Kyle Connor from Inside EVs. So we'll have some actually true experts to talk about EVs intelligently, unlike tonight. So again, and John, go ahead and take it away. Thanks.
All right. Well, as always, everyone, thanks for listening to our podcast. We love your feedback. Tell us what you like and what could be improved. Stay in touch with the local car scene by visiting our website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, just by searching Colorado Cars and Coffee. Well, it's time for us to grab our coffee and hit the road. That's it for us here at Colorado Cars and Coffee. See you down the road, everyone.
Good night. See you
Good
guys.
night.
No.